Yesterday after dinner, my 52-year-old boyfriend proposed to me. He just walked towards me holding a box and said to open it. It was a ring, and I had pictured this moment a million different times, but never thought I'd be so apathetic. My boyfriend then said that he was retired now and wants to kick back and enjoy life with me, and would love to do it all with me as his wife. A nice speech and all, but from the 5-year mark of our relationship onwards, I had been making clear my deep desire to marry, and was consistently dismissed, given empty promises, gaslit. We had been through the gamut with therapy, and one counselor implied that me telling him we needed to go to therapy and getting his butt on the couch still means nothing if his mind has been made up. I was in denial about the fact he was just giving me the false illusion of progress to stall. My boyfriend and I have 4 kids. The oldest 3 are adults, while the youngest is a 15-year-old girl, was sleeping over elsewhere when this all went down. All of our kids went to a private school filled with typical Southern soccer parents. I had to endure PTA moms' jabs about me not sharing a last name with my kids. Preteen years were hell because the other kids would taunt my kids by saying, "Your dad would rather sin and go to hell than marry your mom." My boyfriend's mom would tell him marriage would be selfish on my part. It is just a piece of paper. My boyfriend ended up rising up the ranks until he became an executive. I was a stay-at-home mom, so I felt like there was always a power imbalance, exasperated by the fact I could be tossed any time. I partly did stay because I wanted my kids to have the best life, and because I felt lucky and proud to be partnered with such an intelligent, successful man, but also because I loved him. These past few years, my boyfriend's career has taken a downturn. He will never be poor, but the company he was part of took a nosedive during 2020, and he had made enemies out of associates, board members. He decided to step back from his role and take the generous severance agreed upon. Now he is living off his investments and wants to relax. I did not like how his career ended and how he treated people, and had been deciding whether I wanted to leave and find somebody else after our youngest turns 18. So the proposal was a shock because I should hope that he noticed I have avoided conversations about the future as of late. He rattles on about downsizing our house so we can travel, and also cutting back on our other expenses, but we're not married, so it's all his money house anyway. He did notice my eye roll and was offended. He asked what's wrong, and I said that suddenly, now that he's downsizing, I'm good enough to marry. He got mad and said that now that he's downsizing and no longer an executive, I suddenly think our relationship is disrespectful, and started implying I was a gold digger. I was so angry I walked out and said I might just go out looking for a respectful relationship because I don't know what respect is anymore. Am I the idiot? Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot. There was a reason that he refused to marry you while he was working, and a reason that he's willing to now. I would get to the bottom of that before I agreed to anything with this man. Comment 2. I'm thinking the only positive thing to come out of this tale is that it might serve as a warning to others. Everyone sucks here. Now, for the update. A lot has happened since that night at dinner. I guess I should start with the aftermath of the proposal. The tension in the house was thick enough to cut with a knife after I walked out on him. I spent a few nights at my sister's place to clear my head. She's always been my rock, and she didn't fail me this time either. She listened, offered a shoulder to cry on, and didn't push me to make any decisions I wasn't ready for. When I returned home, things were awkward. My boyfriend and I tiptoed around each other, barely speaking. The kids picked up on the tension, and it wasn't long before our youngest asked if we were getting a divorce. That hit me hard. We weren't even married, and yet, in her eyes, we were on the brink of something just as devastating. We decided to go back to therapy, but this time it was different. The counselor was blunt, telling us that we were at a crossroads. Either we had to work through our issues genuinely or call it quits. That session was a wake-up call for both of us. Over the next few weeks, we tried. He made an effort to be more open about his feelings and his fears about retirement and getting older. I tried to express my resentment and hurt without it turning into a shouting match. It was tough, but we were making progress, or so I thought. Then came the bombshell. One evening, as we were having one of our more calm discussions, he admitted that part of his desire to marry me now was because he felt insecure. With his career gone, he was afraid I would leave him for someone more successful, someone who could offer me the life he once promised, but now felt he couldn't maintain. That confession stung. It felt like our entire relationship was being reduced to transactions and insecurities. I didn't know what to say. I loved him, but I also felt trapped by his sudden vulnerability and the guilt that came with it. The kids have been our saving grace and our biggest stressor. They love their dad and they love me, but they're confused and hurt by the constant ups and downs. Our oldest has been trying to mediate, suggesting family dinners and outings to bring us together. It works sometimes. We laugh, we talk, and for a moment, we're that happy family again. But it's fleeting. Our youngest has been acting out at school, getting into arguments with teachers and other students. She's always been such a bright and happy child, and seeing her struggle breaks my heart. I know she's reacting to the instability at home, and I feel responsible. As for the proposal, the ring sits untouched in its box. I haven't given him an answer, and he hasn't asked for one since that night. It's like we're both afraid of what saying yes or no will mean for us. The PTA moms have been surprisingly supportive. Maybe they sense something's wrong, or maybe they've just grown up a bit. Either way, their kindness has been a small comfort in all of this. My boyfriend's mom has been less than helpful, though. She's been pushing for us to get married, saying it will solve all our problems. I can't help but feel like she's more concerned about appearances than our actual happiness. And then there's the house. He's still talking about downsizing, but now it feels like he's planning a life that may or may not include me. I'm torn between wanting to hold on to what we have and the desire to start fresh, on my own terms. I've been thinking a lot about my future, about what I want and what I deserve. I've started looking into job opportunities, something to give me a sense of independence and security. It's daunting, considering I've been out of the workforce for so long, but it's also exhilarating. The truth is, I don't know what's going to happen between us. Some days I look at him and remember all the reasons I fell in love with him. Other days, I feel like I'm living with a stranger. The love is still there, but so is the hurt, the resentment, and the fear. I'm not sure where we'll be in another 3 months. Maybe we'll find our way back to each other, or maybe we'll decide it's time to go our separate ways. Either way, I know it won't be easy. There's no clear path forward, just a lot of messy, complicated feelings that we'll have to sort through, together or apart. Now, for the comments. Comment 1. Oh honey, you're not the jerk. You're the whole dang circus having to juggle this man's commitment issues for years. It's like he's finally ready to put a ring on it when his career tanks. Sounds like he's treating marriage like a retirement plan. You deserve someone who doesn't make you feel like you're auditioning for the role of wife for half a decade. Comment 2. You're definitely not the jerk for feeling this way. It's tough when you've been the understudy in your own love story for so long, only to get the lead role when the theater's closing down. Trust your gut. And remember, it's never too late to find a co-star who respects and values you from the get-go. Now, for the next story, husband, 41, and I, female 38, have 2 children. Our daughter Rachel, 15, and our son Tim, 13. Since forever, I am begging my husband to do more around the house, but he continues to be a lazy man-child. He does the bare minimum when I force him, and that's it. And our son is learning from him, not doing his chores, not cleaning up his messes and expecting his sister to cater to him. Hubby is enabling him and secretly overrules me when I punish Tim. We had more than one argument because of their laziness. Yesterday I was shopping with Rachel and we met a friend from work and her boyfriend. So I called my husband and asked him and Tim to clean the house as soon as possible because I will bring guests. When we arrived home nearly 2 hours later, the house was a mess. I never felt so embarrassed in my life. My friend smiled and downplayed it as normal, but I was able to see the looks she exchanged with her boyfriend. We chatted for 20 minutes after I cleaned the living room a bit, and then they left. I finally had enough. I told both hubby and Tim to get the F out of my house and don't come back until they learn to respect me and be helpful around the house. We had a bad argument and in the end, they gave up and left. My son has called me since from the motel where he and hubby are staying and begged me to let him back in. I told him he can ask me in 2024 again and I might consider it. They are banned until Christmas. Family will gather in my house this year, and New Year's Eve. Tim will then return. Hubby, I am not sure yet. My mom and my sister are against this. They think I am way too harsh, especially to Tim. But I think he needs a serious wake-up call, and this will be it. And I don't give an F about hubby at this point. Am I the idiot? Edit. The text says clearly, Tim will return home. This is just a wake-up call for him. Maybe he can even return for Christmas if he promises to do his chores conscientiously from now on. Quick update. My son called me again. I explained the situation and what I expect from him. He agreed to sign a paper where all his chores will be listed. He also agreed to help his sister with all her chores until New Year's Eve. I will pick him up tomorrow. Didn't talk with my husband. Update 2. I picked my son up from the hotel in the early morning. He couldn't wait, lol. I apologized for throwing him out but explained my reasoning to him. He signed the paper and promised to do better from now on. I am happy to have him back. Hubby tried to talk to me when I picked Tim up, but I didn't listen. As for him, he can stay away for a while, and I will have the time to think about our relationship. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot. I understand why you are done with talking after trying so hard, and now you have to face the consequences. If you also run out of love for your husband, I wouldn't be surprised. No one wants intimacy with someone you have to mother. You are just describing what women all over the world are fed up with. Comment 2. Throw out the husband, keep the son. There's still a chance you can influence him to be a better human. If you are left with your husband, that chance is gone. Now, for the update. A lot has happened since I last shared my story. After I picked Tim up from the motel, things started to change. He was quiet on the ride home, but I could tell he was thinking hard about everything that had happened. Once we got home, he went straight to his room and started cleaning without being asked. It was a small gesture, but it meant a lot. Over the next few days, he kept to his word, helping Rachel with her chores and even cooking dinner one night. I was proud of him, and it felt like we were finally making progress. Rachel, on the other hand, was a mix of emotions. She was happy to have her brother back and appreciated his help, but she was also worried about the tension between me and her dad. She missed him, and I could see it was taking a toll on her. We had a long talk one evening, and she expressed how she felt caught in the middle. I reassured her that none of this was her fault, and that her dad and I would figure things out. As for my husband, he called several times, each conversation a bit more desperate than the last. He wanted to come home, but I wasn't ready. I needed him to understand the seriousness of the situation and to show that he was willing to change. It wasn't until the 4th day that something shifted. He showed up at the house with a handwritten letter. He didn't try to come in, he just handed me the letter and left. The letter was a turning point. In it, he apologized for his behavior and acknowledged how his actions had affected our family. He promised to do better and to support me in running our household. It was the first time I felt like he truly understood the impact of his actions. I didn't let him come back immediately. Instead, we agreed to meet for coffee the next day to talk things through. It was a long and emotional conversation, but it was also constructive. We laid out a plan for how we would both contribute to the household and how we would communicate better. It was clear that he was committed to making things right. By the end of the week, I decided it was time for him to come home. The kids were ecstatic, and even though things were still a bit awkward, there was a sense of relief in the air. We spent the weekend deep cleaning the house together as a family, and it felt like a fresh start. My mom and sister, who had been critical of my decision, saw the change in our family dynamic and finally came around. They admitted that while my approach was unconventional, it had worked. They were happy to see us working together as a team. As for the family gathering at Christmas, it went off without a hitch. The house was spotless, and everyone pitched in to prepare the meal. It was one of the best holidays we've had in years, full of laughter and love. My husband even surprised me with a beautiful necklace as a symbol of his commitment to our family. In the end, this tough love approach was what we needed. It wasn't easy, and there were moments when I doubted my decision, but seeing my family come together and work through our issues was worth it. My husband and I are in a much better place now, and our relationship is stronger for it. Tim has kept up with his chores and seems to have a new respect for the work that goes into maintaining a home. It's been a challenging week, but I'm grateful for how things turned out. Our family is back together, and we're all the better for having gone through this experience. It's a reminder that sometimes the hardest decisions can lead to the happiest endings. Now, for the comments. Comment 1. Oh honey, you're not the jerk, you're the chore whisperer. You've got your son signing chore contracts like he's closing a business deal, and your hubby penning apology letters like he's Nicholas Sparks. Tough love might just be your superpower. Just don't forget to put on your cape when you negotiate the next family treaty. Comment 2. Been there. My hubby was a couch potato until I canceled our cable subscription. Suddenly he found the energy to vacuum. It's like a miracle. You're not the idiot for wanting a partner, not a freeloader. Sometimes they need a little nudge or a boot out the door. Stick to your guns. If you liked this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.